A very lovely good evening to all of you. I am Dr. Pooja Johari and I will be discussing the questions of biochemistry. I am a biochemistry faculty and today's topic of discussion is carbohydrates metabolism. Now all of you know the pattern of FMGE has changed, that now clinical based questions are generally asked. So in this session of biochemistry today, I will be starting up with all the clinical based questions on carbohydrate metabolism. Now always remember one thing, when these type of questions are asked, there is always a code word hidden in every question. And the characteristic of a best student is to pick that particular code. So automatically the answer becomes simple. So let's start up with the discussion. Let's see question number 1. A 4-year-old child with exercise intolerance. On an investigation, we see the pH of the blood is 7.3. Fasting blood sugar is 60. The child is suffering from hypertriglyceridemia, ketosis, and lactic acidosis, right? And the child has hepatomegaly and renomegaly also. And when biopsy of liver and kidney are carried out, it shows increased glycogen content. Now, if you look at the question, the keyword here is increased glycogen content. So what is the diagnosis? All of you know, when it is the concentration of glycogen is more, that means it belongs to glycogen storage diseases, isn't it? Now, before starting up with the explanation, let me give you a brief knowledge about different glycogen storage diseases. Now, overall, if we see, this glycogen storage diseases are actually, one is storage in the muscle and other is storage in the liver. And I will be giving you certain mnemonics also just to make biochemistry easy. Because you people have a phobia of this, ki what can be the diagnosis, what would be the answer. So just to clarify certain things, I have made certain mnemonics on this. So first of all, we are going to take up what are the different glycogen storage disorders. So overall, if we see, the mnemonic for this is wo physics, chemistry और मैथ्स में होशियार था. Again, I'll repeat it. वो physics, chemistry, I'll write it, वो physics, chemistry और मैथ्स में होशियार था. Right? Another mnemonic is Viagra pills can augment male happiness too. So whatever mnemonic seems to be simple for you, you can revise that. So as per this, now I'm going to tell you how many type of glycogen storage disorders are there. One is von Gierke's disease. P stands for Pompe's disease. C stands for Cory's disease. A stands for Anderson. M stands for McArdle's. H stands for hers. And T stands for Tarwe's disease. Right. And then the most important thing about this is, because the questions are generally asked on, the name of the disease, what is the deficient enzyme in this, and what are the biochemical manifestations because of that. So von Gierke's disease, if we see, it is the deficient, I'll write it here, deficient enzyme is glucose 6-phosphatase. Right. Deficient enzyme in this is lysosomal acid maltase. In Cory's disease, the enzyme is debranching enzyme. In Anderson's, it is branching enzyme. In McArdle's disease, it is muscle phosphorylase. So, muscle phosphorylase. In hers, it is liver phosphorylase. And in Tarwee's, it is phosphofructokinase. So these are the deficient enzymes, and the mnemonic here is of the deficient enzymes. जैसे the mnemonic is guys love deeply, boys might lie. So you can see guys love deeply, boys might lie. P you can always remember. So this is how we have to prepare. Again, I'll repeat it because sometimes the questions are asked on different types. जैसे von Gerkes, if we talk about, this is type 1. Right? Type 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7. And the mnemonic for this is, one is वो physics, chemistry और maths में होशियार था, and another is Viagra pills can lead to augment what male happiness too. And these are the mnemonics of the deficient enzymes. Guys love deeply, boys might lie. Now out of these diseases, if we see PMT, this is again a mnemonic, pre-medical test, which you people have cleared, to become doctors. So this PMT is for muscle storage GSDs. And if you exclude PMT out of this, they will be simple liver storage disorders. Like von Gerkes disease is there, then Cory's is there, then you can say Anderson's is there, then hers is there. Right? Now, this von Gerkes disease is considered to be the most elaborative one and a most frequent one, in which there is deficiency of enzyme glucose 6-phosphatase. And all of you know that glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme is actually absent in the muscle. Because if we see, I'll just give you a brief introduction of this. This von Gerkes disease is actually of 3 main types: 0, 1A, and 1B. This von Gerkes 0 is actually due to the absence of enzyme glycogen synthase. Now, why I am taking these GSDs in detail? Because there are so many questions which have been asked on only and only glycogen storage disorders. That is why I am taking this in detail. Then this 1A is actually due to the deficiency of glucose 6-phosphatase. And this 1B is due to the translocase transporter. Because you know this glucose 6-phosphatase is absent in the muscle. So basically what happens is glucose 6-phosphate has to be converted into glucose, it has to be transported. So translocase enzyme is absent in 1B. Right? And then rest of the disorders are clear to you. Then little bit again about this I have written here. You can see type O, glycogen synthase is there. What are the manifestations? It leads to early morning drowsiness, ketosis is there, fasting hypoglycemia, very important, because what happens is, because glucose is not being produced, glucose 6-phosphate is not being converted into glucose. So initial effect would be fasting hypoglycemia, leading to fatigue. Second, type 1A, glucose 6-phosphatase is there. The most important thing about this to remember is the structure of glycogen is normal. But massive hepatomegaly will be there. Why massive hepatomegaly will be there? Because this enzyme is absent in the muscle, obviously. So there will be excess deposition in the liver. Renomegaly is seen, but no splenomegaly is seen. And short stature and protuberant abdomen is there, and doll-like feces with fat cheeks. This is again a very important identifying feature of von Gierke's type 1 disease, doll-like facies. And then just now I told you hypertriglyceridemia will be there. There will be increased concentration of TGs. And there are certain biochemical hallmarks for von Gierke's disease which you people should know. These hallmarks are, I'll write it here, biochemical hallmarks. There is again, I have made a mnemonic for myself. I think it will be beneficial for you people also. HHHL. Right, triple HL, it stands for hyperuricemia, hypoglycemia, hypertriglyceridemia, and last is lactic acidosis. So these are the biochemical hallmarks of von Gierke's disease. And the reason is quite evident. Here you can see, I'll just give you a brief description again. Because see, if glucose 6-phosphate is not converted into glucose, obviously it will be diverted somewhere else. Now where it will be diverted, this glucose 6-phosphate will be diverted to undergo HMP shunt. So automatically more ribose, more purine synthesis, and more will be the formation of uric acid. That is why hyperuricemia is there. Concentration of glucose is less, then hypoglycemia is there. Glucose 6-phosphate will be diverted to form pyruvic acid. This pyruvic acid will form lactic acid, so lactic acidosis will there. Pyruvic acid can be converted into acetyl coenzyme A. So you can say acetyl coenzyme A is required for the formation of TGs. So hypertriglyceridemia will be there. Similarly, acetyl coenzyme A is required for the synthesis of ketone bodies. So ketosis will also be there. And this is a very, very important disorder, and you should know what are the hallmarks of this and what are the identifying features of von Gierke's disease. I hope this is clear to all of you. Right. And type 1B, just now I told you, translocase that transports glucose 6-phosphate across ER is defective. Now, let's look at the options. Yeah, you can say before looking at the options, let's take other diseases also in detail. Cory's disease. Just now I told you, you have to exclude PMT. PMT is for muscle glycogen storage disorders, and except PMT, rest are, you can say, the liver storage disorders. So Cory's disease is again a very important disease. As the name suggests, it is also known as limit dextrinosis. Very important. Now, why it is known as limit dextrinosis? Because abnormal glycogen is there and it resembles the limit dextrins in structure. And the deficient enzyme in Cory's disease is what? It will be debranching enzyme, right? And obviously hypoglycemia will be there, hepatomegaly will be there, splenomegaly may be present. But what are the identifying features of this Cory's disease? The identifying features are fasting ketosis, and there is increase in the transaminases group of enzymes. Blood lactate and uric acid levels are normal in this. This is very, very important. And this one feature distinguishes it from von Gierke's disease. Here the level of uric acid and lactic acid will be normal. Right? And but obviously limit dextrins, there is accumulation of this limit dextrins which can lead to progressive liver cirrhosis and failure occurs. So this is what is Cory's disease. Or you can say this is simple. In other words, we can say, अब जैसे just remember the mnemonic here, वो physics chemistry. So it is type 3. This is how you have to remember. Right? Then Anderson's disease. Anderson's disease में branching enzyme is absent or abnormal glycogen is there. Again, for this I have made one more mnemonic, A, B, C, just to make it clear to you, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F. All of you know A, B, C, D, so I don't think you will have any problem in recognizing these or in recalling these. Now see what happens here is A stands for Anderson's disease, right? B stands for branching enzyme. So you can say Anderson's disease is due to the absence of branching enzyme. C stands for Cory's disease and the deficient enzyme is the debranching enzyme. Right? So this is again an easy mnemonic just to differentiate between debranching and branching enzyme. Because I hope you people know about glycogenesis and glycogenolysis. Okay, branching enzyme is there which is actually leading to the synthesis of glycogen. Debranching enzyme is there which is actually breaking glycogen into glucose. This is how you have to remember. Then we come over to the muscle glycogen storage diseases, PMT. P stands for POMS disease, M McArdle, and T stands for Tharouy's disease. Now this POMS disease, because you know glycogenolysis is occurring in the lysosomes also. Even though it contributes little bit of it, but it is there. So if this lysosomal alpha-1,4 acid maltase is absent, it will lead to accumulation of glycogen. This is actually a lysosomal storage disorder. Very important. Lysosomal storage disorder, and there is accumulation of this glycogen in cardiac, skeletal, and smooth muscles, leading to muscle weakness. And the most identifying feature of POMS disease is this floppy infant appearance. Very, very important. Very important. Right. And macroglossia, this is again an identifying feature. And again, above all, is the cardiomegaly. Very important. This cardiomegaly is a characteristic feature of this POMS disease. And the infant dies before 2 years of age. He completes 2 years. So this is very, very important. Apart from these, transaminases and creatine kinase are elevated. But identifying features are floppy infant appearance, macroglossia, because these are the questions which have been asked in the exam. The more you practice, the more easier it will become. Right? So POMS disease is a, you can say, muscle storage disorder. It is a lysosomal storage disorder. The deficient enzyme is lysosomal alpha-1,4 acid maltase. Then we come over to McArdle. McArdle, M stands for Mec. So obviously, okay, chalo. Mec, the enzyme deficient is muscle phosphorylase. Right. Now, if we have to differentiate between McArdle's and Tharouy's disease, basically what happens is Tharouy's disease is in which muscle phosphofructokinase is absent. I'll write it here. McArdle's. And in McArdle's, it is the deficiency of muscle phosphorylase. Basically, what is the difference? If we see the biochemical manifestations, it is more or less the same. The person here is also exercise intolerant. There is myoglobinuria, right? But the major difference between Thyroid disease and McArdle's is in the person suffering from thyroid disease, exercise intolerance is particularly acute only after taking meal rich in carbohydrate. This is a very, very important feature which is distinguishing between these two. Again, I'll repeat it. In McArdle disease, obviously the person becomes intolerant to exercise. Cramps, muscular cramps are there. There is excretion of myoglobin into that. And the burgundy color, the color of the urine changes to that burgundy color. Right? Features are more or less the same. The basic difference is in thyroid disease. Person is obviously exercise intolerant, but it becomes acute when the person takes a diet rich in carbohydrates. Then another important feature is no spontaneous second wind phenomenon is there. Now, what do you mean by this second wind phenomenon? Second wind का मतलब क्या है कि suppose if a person is suffering, if a person is suffering from McArdle's disease, right? Suppose he relaxes for some time. After that, he can continue with his exercise again. But in thyroid disease, what happens is no spontaneous second wind phenomenon is there. Once the person is tired, once the person starts developing muscular cramps, he cannot exercise further. So these are the major differences between thyroid disease and McArdle's disease, right? And this is all about 6 types of glycogen storage disorders. I hope it is clear to all of you. And now we look at the question. Question is simple. You can see now increased glycogen content. Immediately you will recall glycogen content is increasing. That means it is a glycogen storage disorder. Then you go to other aspects. In other aspects, you can see hepatomegaly is there and renomegaly is there. Fine. Again, we can now narrow down our research to hypertriglyceridemia, increased concentration of TGs, acute ketosis and lactic acidosis. Because agar hum McArdle's disease dekhe, again there won't be any change in lactic acid. So this is how you have to remember. So here the option would be obviously none other than von Gierke's disease. Right? McArdle's muscle phosphorylase, Cory's disease due to which enzyme? Again, Cory's disease is due to the, just now I told you ABC, ABCD. That means Cory's debranching enzyme. Pom's disease, lysosomal alpha-1,4 acid maltase. I hope this question is clear to all of you. This is a very, very important question and this might be asked in the exam also. And you can see once we finish with the glycogen storage disorders, automatically there will be so many questions which you can, solve in one go only. So this is about this. Then we move over to the second question. A breastfed infant began to vomit frequently and lose weight. After a few days, she developed jaundice, hepatomegaly, and bilateral cataract. Now see, again, in this question, there is a you can say hidden code word. What is that? If we talk about jaundice, if we talk about hepatomegaly, it is a very common symptom in all the disease disorders if we see. Bilateral cataract is a characteristic feature of galactosemia. Very important. Oil drop cataract. Right? Now, if we look at the options are, वैसे तो I've given you the answer also, but I will take all the things, all the disorders in detail. Von Gierke's disease, we have already studied. Jaundice, hepatomegaly, but no formation of cataract is there. Hereditary fructose intolerance. Hereditary fructose intolerance is due to the deficiency of aldolase B. It resembles galactosemia. in जैसे like jaundice is there, hepatomegaly is there, seizures are there, vomiting is there. There are so many things, but there is no formation of this oil drop cataract in that. And Gaucher's disease is altogether a different disorder. This comes under sphingolipidosis. Right, where the deficient enzyme is beta-glucocerebrosidase, which we are going to discuss later. So here we can see that bilateral cataract is a characteristic identifying feature of galactosemia. So again, since we have started with this question, I would like to discuss the metabolism of galactose also, because galactosemia is a very important disorder in infants. And first of all, what are the clinical features of this? Jaundice, vomiting, seizure, hepatomegaly, bilateral cataract, mental retardation is there, and they are at increased risk for E. coli neonatal sepsis. And if we talk about galactosemia, basically what happens is simple. This galactose is converted into galactose 1-phosphate. This galactose 1-phosphate will combine with UDP glucose. There is interchange because glucose and galactose are linked as epimers with respect to one another. So simple, UDP galactose is produced and glucose 1-phosphate will be produced. If this enzyme is absent, there will be increased concentration of this galactose leading to galactosemia. And this galactose automatically, this is normal reaction, it is converted into galactitol, which is also known as dulcitol, in the presence of enzyme aldol reductase. So obviously increased concentration of galactose will lead to increased concentration of this galactitol. And this galactitol cannot cross the eye membrane. So what happens is there is increased concentration of this galactitol leading to increased ocular pressure. And if the ocular pressure increases, it leads to the formation of this cataract, which is actually oil drop, or it is bilateral cataract. If we talk about the metabolism of glucose and fructose, the cataract so produced is a snowflakey cataract. And this is an oil drop or bilateral cataract. So obviously it will be galactosemia. I hope this question is clear to you. This is a very important question, and there are chances that this type of question can be asked. Then we move on to the other question. A baby is hypotonic and shows increased ratio of pyruvate to acetyl coenzyme A. Pyruvate cannot form acetyl coenzyme A in fibroblasts. He also shows features of lactic acidosis. Now, which of the following can revert the situation? Now see, here the main substrate is pyruvate, isn't it? So I'll just take up this reaction. What happens is, when one molecule of glucose undergoes oxidation via glycolysis, it forms two molecules of pyruvic acid, which has 3 carbon atoms. Now, once pyruvic acid is produced, what is its fate? Either it will react in the absence of oxygen, or it will react in the presence of oxygen. Oxygen, mitochondria. Absence of oxygen in the muscle. And that is what exactly happens. When pyruvic acid in the absence of oxygen undergoes a reaction or dehydrogenation, it forms lactic acid. And this reaction is reversible, and the enzyme is lactate dehydrogenase. On the other hand, if pyruvic acid undergoes in the presence of oxygen, it gives out a molecule of carbon dioxide. So the process will be decarboxylation. Always remember, D means removal. Kiski removal? Carbon dioxide ki. So this process is decarboxylation. Since it is in the presence of oxygen, so it is oxidative decarboxylation. And the product produced would be acetyl coenzyme A. Now this reaction plays a very, very important role because the enzyme required here is PDH, which is an example of multi-enzyme complex. Now, what do you mean by this multi-enzyme complex? It means that this enzyme cannot work alone. It requires so many cofactors, so many coenzymes to work with it. And the most important coenzyme is TPP. Or it is said also, if TPP is nothing but it is vitamin B1. If we say the subjects who are deficient of TPP, they are more prone to beriberi, dry and wet beriberi. And similarly, it can lead to Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome also. Right? So here what the question says is, if you look at the question, it says pyruvate cannot form acetyl coenzyme A. That means this reaction is not feasible. Now, if pyruvic acid is not forming acetyl coenzyme A, this pyruvic acid will be diverted to form more and more of lactic acid. That is what is given in the question. Feature of lactic acidosis. Which of the following can revert the situation? So answer would be simple thiamine or vitamin B1 or TPP. Question can be asked in either of the ways. So thiamine is vitamin B1. The active form of vitamin B1 is thiamine pyrophosphate. And this is a coenzyme for three important enzymes. One is obviously PDH, which I mentioned in my next slide. And one is alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, which is an enzyme of PCA cycle. And third is transketolase. And this transketolase is an enzyme of HMP shunt. So obviously vitamin B1 is given. This reaction can be reversed. And one very important point about this is that pyruvic acid being converted to lactic acid, the reaction is reversible. Pyruvic acid, when it is converted into acetyl coenzyme A, this reaction is irreversible. And that is why we say that we can convert carbohydrates to fats. Reverse is not possible. Right? So obviously the answer is simple, thiamine. If we talk about the rest of the options, biotin is what? Biotin is a coenzyme for carboxylation, or it is B7. Pyridoxine is for decarboxylation and transamination, it is B6. Active form is PLP. And free fatty acid has nothing to do with this. So the answer is sure and short, thiamine. So I hope this question is also clear to you. And this is how you have to prepare. Again, I am telling you, there is always a code word hidden in every question for that matter. Then another question. A patient has normal blood glucose level, right? We estimate glucose by simple GOD-POD method. Shows positive Benedict's test also. Now see, what happens is, I'll tell you what, there are reducing sugars, there are non-reducing sugars. Obviously, reducing the sugar which can reduce any chemical reagent, it will be a reducing sugar. Non-reducing sugar which cannot reduce. So this Benedict's test is a test to distinguish between reducing and non-reducing. So Benedict's test will be positive in reducing and it will be negative in non-reducing, right? And if we look at the question, it says normal blood glucose. Just say if we talk about estimation of glucose, glucose is a reducing sugar. So it will give a positive Benedict's test. But here you can see if the concentration of glucose, if he has a normal blood glucose level, means कि glucose can be detected by GOD-POD method. This is normal. That means the estimation of glucose is automatically bypassed. Or you can say कि there is no presence of glucose in the urine of that particular patient. But it has a reducing sugar. Ab if we talk about reducing sugars, so reducing sugars are so many. Let's start with monosaccharides like fructose is a reducing sugar. Galactose is a reducing sugar. Lactose, maltose, starch, these are all reducing sugars. But यहाँ पे if you look at the options में you can see reducing sugars में one fructose is there, one galactose is there. Let's look at the other options also. If we say the person is suffering from diabetes mellitus, obviously there will be presence of that glucose in the urine, isn't it? Or you can say कि if we are estimating this glucose by GOD-POD method, coloration will be there. Okay? So this is automatically ruled out because glucose is normal. Glucose intolerance, again, this will be ruled out. So we narrow down our intelligence, I should say, to fructosemia and galactosemia. So I'll write it here. So it can be either fructosemia or it can be galactosemia. Now see, both are reducing sugars. Reducing sugars. But see, what we do is fructosemia term actually does not exist. Why? Because it has no renal threshold. Or normally what we say, fructosuria, to some extent we can say it is there. But what happens is the amount of fructose, because if we study glycolysis may, you know, glucose to glucose 6-phosphate to fructose 6-phosphate is there. So if fructose is there, this fructose can undergo, obviously, fructokinase ke saath, it can form fructose 1-phosphate and it can be diverted here. So fructosemia as such won't arise. Okay? So obviously, reducing sugar is there. The concentration of glucose is nil in that. So obviously, the answer should be galactosemia. So the answer to this question will be galactosemia. I hope it is clear because fructosemia, it is not actually term. It should be fructosuria because it doesn't have a renal threshold. And you know fructose kya karta hai? Fructose is immediately, it merges into glycolysis or fructose undergoes phosphorylation to form fructose 1-phosphate and then glycerolaldehyde, and then automatically it links itself to glycolysis or it merges itself into glycolysis. Then we move over to the next question, a very important question again. A baby boy 10 months old comes with vomiting, severe jaundice, hepatomegaly, and features of irritability on starting weaning with juice. Which of the following enzyme is defective? And now see, if we talk about vomiting, if we talk about severe jaundice, there can be this options or this. If this enzyme is absent, it leads to galactosemia. So chances are there, but you can say the symptoms, biochemical manifestations are similar to galactosemia. But here the highlight of the question is कि features of irritability starts on weaning with the juice. Means it starts aggravating when juice is given. Juice rich in fructose. Because if we see the sweetening index, fructose has more sweetening index than glucose. Right? Similarly, sucrose ki bhi if we talk about, the sucrose mein major predominant part is fructose. That is why sucrose is also known as invert sugar. Or overall, in a nutshell, we can say fructose is more sweeter than other sugars, and that is why fructose is a component of honey and different syrups. Okay, that means we have to narrow down this thing on 2 because fructose metabolism say only these 2 are related, isn't it? Aldolase B and fructokinase. So Obviously, this is also ruled out because glucose 6-phosphatase is converting glucose 6-phosphate to glucose. So this is also ruled out. This is also ruled out. Now we have to concentrate on aldolase B and fructokinase. What happens here is, if we see the metabolism of fructose, whatever sugar we are having, the moment it enters inside the cell, it has to undergo phosphorylation first. Why? Because it cannot enter back in circulation. So this fructose undergoes phosphorylation, forming fructose 1-phosphate. This fructose 1-phosphate undergoes splitting in the presence of aldolase B to form glyceraldehyde and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Right? Obviously, phosphate, or you can say dihydroxyacetone aa jayega, and or you can say glyceraldehyde will undergo phosphorylation, forming 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde. In any case, they will merge into glycolysis. So this is what is fructose metabolism. Now, deficiency of, here the enzyme is fructokinase. Deficiency of aldolase B leads to hereditary fructose intolerance. So features in the starting are asymptomatic, but when juice is given, the features are actually increased. This is very important. Very, very important. And that is what is mentioned there. The person starts getting irritated. Irritability is there on weaning with juice. And that is what exactly is happening here. So if you look at the clinical, patients are asymptomatic until fructose is ingested. It resembles galactosemia, just now I told you. Now gene for aldolase B is located on chromosome 9q22.3. Acute fructose ingestion will lead to symptomatic hypoglycemia. And it can finally lead to the death of the individual also. Right? So the answer here would be simple aldolase B. Very important. Then we come over to, I hope that question is clear to all of you. Then we come over to a 3-month-old infant presents with hepatomegaly and failure to thrive. A liver biopsy reveals glycogen, that means glycogen storage disorder, with an abnormal amylopectin-like structure. Clear? With long outer chains and missing branches, which of the following enzyme is deficient? Very simple question, you just have to apply common sense to it. Abnormal amylopectin. That means there is increased concentration of this amylopectin. It is nothing but amylopectinosis. And missing branches. So which of the enzyme will be absent? Obviously, it will be what? Branching enzyme. That is why if the branching enzyme is absent, that is why this amylopectin structure is being, there is increase in the concentration. Basically what happens is, if we study glycogenesis, in glycogenesis we say the activated glucose with the help of branching enzyme, because amylopectin is being produced. Right? So it is this. And GOSTs we have already, this is suppose, chalo, I'll show you this. See, glycogenolysis is there. Okay, so glycogenesis mein we say ki it starts from glucose, right? Glucose phosphorylates forming glucose 6-phosphate. Then UDP glucose, I'll just write the shortcuts, UDP glucose, then glycogen synthase is there, branching enzyme is there, and it is going to form simple glycogen. Glycogenolysis mein glycogen is there, phosphorylatic splitting is there, leading to glycogen which has one molecule of glucose lesser. Right? Here glycogen phosphorylase plus debranching enzyme will be there. So automatically it is going to form glucose 1-phosphate, glucose 6-phosphate, and it is going to form glucose in the end. Right? So these are two parallel processes. Here in glycogenesis, the rate limiting enzyme is glycogen synthase, and here it is glycogen phosphorylase. So obviously if branching enzyme is absent, there is accumulation of that particular structure. So, or you can say here you can revise this mnemonic also, A, B, C, D, E, F. Is it clear? Or in other words, I will write it here also, A, B, C, D, E, F. A stands for Anderson's disease, isn't it? Just now I told you. And Anderson's disease is due to the branching enzyme, right? A for Anderson, A for amylopectin. And that is why this disorder can also be known as amylopectinosis. Accumulation of amylopectin-like structure. Is it clear to all of you? So the answer will be this. Baki, if you talk about rest of the enzymes, they are no doubt related to the metabolism of glycogen, but all have some different functions to perform. Then next question. A young man finds that every time he eats dairy products, he feels uncomfortable. Okay. His stomach becomes distended. Okay. He develops diarrhea frequently. These symptoms do not appear when he eats food other than dairy products. That means something is wrong with this dairy product. Right? Otherwise, he's normal. The moment he starts taking these dairy products, he starts developing the symptoms of diarrhea, vomiting, and like that. So what happens is simple dairy products, that means the person is intolerant to lactose. So the whole metabolism revolves around lactose, right? If you look at all the four options, the most likely answer would be simple beta-galactosidase, because this is the other name for lactase. Because if you know, ये जो lactose है, this lactose is actually a disaccharide which is formed of one molecule of glucose plus one molecule of galactose, both in beta form. And that is why it is also known as beta-galactosidase, because it is going to degrade these beta linkage. So the answer will be simple, beta-galactosidase. So what I'm trying to say is, there is always something, hidden in the entire question. You don't have to mug up everything. You just have to, apply a little bit of common sense. Ki if they're asking that food other than dairy products, dairy, immediately it strikes your mind that it has something to do with lactose. Lactose, that means the linkage. Linkage is, just now I told you, it is beta-1,4. So obviously it has to be beta-galactosidase. Then next question, a previously healthy African American soldier experiences severe back pain and pink urine 2 to 3 days after taking Dapsone for leishmaniasis. A Coombs test is negative. The deficient enzyme is the rate limiting step of what metabolic pathway? Now see, the question appears to be a little bit, complicated. But again, there is a very important point hidden in it. That is what? Pink urine. The color of urine is pink or it is red. Why it is so? Because obviously there is hemolysis. Isn't it? But here the Coombs test is negative. This hemolysis can be due to what? It can be due to oxidative stress also. Isn't it? Now, if the splitting of RBCs is there, it can be due to oxidative stress, that means which pathway is actually regulating this entire process. And सबसे important thing here they have given is African soldier. So here, if we talk about Core's cycle has altogether a different role to play. It is simple, you can say कि due to the absence of glucose 6-phosphatase in the muscle, Core's cycle is operative, which actually revolves between lactic acid and pyruvic acid, nothing to do with hemolysis. Gluconeogenesis, it is a process of during starvation. Again, it has nothing to do with pink urine. Glycogenolysis is again a altogether different simple breakdown of glycogen to release energy, nothing to do with hemolysis. Now we come over to PPP, pentose phosphate pathway, which is also known as HMP shunt. Now here what happens actually is, if we talk about this, the rate limiting enzyme of HMP shunt is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. And all of us know, if we see the significance of HMP, we say it leads to the formation of NADPH, right? And it leads to the formation of ribose sugar. Deficiency of G6PDH leads to hemolytic anemia. And it is quite evident also, because this NADPH is required to maintain glutathione in its reduced form. GSSG and in its reduced form. If this is not maintained in its reduced form, there is a release of free radicals which starts damaging the RBCs, membrane of RBCs, leading to hemolysis. And सबसे important thing is, you can see it is most predominant in African people. Very important, right? So deficiency of this, or you can say hemolysis, is due to oxidative damage. Right? So here the answer would be, because Coombs test is also negative here. So what can be the possible, solution to that? So obviously it will be PPP, and the deficient enzyme here would be glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, which leads to excessive hemolysis. And it is most predominant in African society, you can say, or the people living in Africa. I hope the explanation of this question is also clear to all of you. Then we move over to the next question. A newborn infant presents with poor feeding, vomiting, jaundice, and an enlarged liver. The urine tests positive for reducing substances indicating the presence of sugars with aldehyde groups. Which of the following process is most likely to be abnormal? This is a tough question. Why I'm saying it is tough? Because here you have to apply a little bit of, little bit of biochemistry. Now see what happens is, this is a typical characteristic of metabolism of galactose. Because urine is testing positive for reducing substances, or indicating the presence of sugars with aldehyde group. Galactose has a aldehyde group in it. Now if we look at other options, or you can say it is simple galactosemia. Right? If we talk about galactosemia, I'll just write the metabolism of galactose. This galactose undergoes phosphorylation to form galactose 1-phosphate in the presence of galactokinase. This galactose 1-phosphate combines with UDP glucose. Interchange, epimerase is the reaction, and you can say UDP galactose is produced and glucose 1-phosphate is produced. And here the enzyme is galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase. Now what happens here is, if we talk about UDP glucose, it is an activated glucose. Means glucose combines with UTP to form UDPG. Or we can say that C1 of glucose is activated. Same is the case with the UDP galactose, it is also activated. Right. Now if you look at the options, conversion of glucose to galactose, no, there is no conversion of this, there is interchange. You can say epimerase is actually converting, shifting UDP glucose to UDP galactose. Conversion of lactose to galactose, ye bhi nahi ho sakta, because once galactose is produced, then only lactose will be produced. Excretion of glucose by kidney, again it won't be there, because this is a characteristic feature of galactosemia. So the process which will be abnormal is the inefficiency of conversion of activated galactose to activated glucose. If there is no conversion, automatically there will be increased concentration of galactose, leading to galactosemia, characterized by poor feeding, vomiting, jaundice, and hepatomegaly. And it will show a positive test for, you can say, reducing substances. So this will be the answer. So I hope whatever questions I have discussed with you guys, they are clear to all of you. So these were some of the clinical based questions on carbohydrate metabolism. In the next session, we will be discussing some more questions on this carbohydrate metabolism. Thank you so much.